Hello. I need to clear out some space here. Anyways, I wanted to get on Facebook. I mean, not Facebook. I just wanted to get on here really quickly. I did my hair. Got my little mojo back. Look, my little edges been popped through. I should have slicked them down. But I wanted to get on here really quickly. I am here in Tulare, visiting my mom. First of all, just left from the dentist office, and they put a chain from one end right here all the way over here to close in the gaps. So they were saying that this side is not closed all the way down yet, whereas this side is. It don't matter. I'm tired. I'm done with these things, so I got to go back in 8 weeks. Anyways, excuse me, but no makeup on today. I put on powder because my eyes, underneath my eyes were a little bit dark, and I'm trying to work on my rest today. But got my green kombucha tea. I found it in the through Yogi, and it says your potential self is infinite. How amazing is that? So also, this is just kind of random. I am also doing something major for the month of January going into February that I will be telling you guys about later on, and what God is doing during this time. So I do want to share that with you, but at a later date and time once it is completed. Right now, I have school at 5:30 tonight, but because I'm in Tulare, I have to leave here about another 2 hours. I'll be leaving out of here, and I'll be heading to home so that I can be at school on time. Also, while I'm here, I had, doctor's appointments, and I'll have to tell you all about the doctor's appointment because I think I probably have to clear out some space. But anyways, had a hysterectomy, December 22nd, 2005, had to request my medical records. And once I got the medical records, the doctor needed to do the next chain of action regarding some possible scar tissue and to see how my ovaries and stuff was going. And so because that was the burning question for all these years as to what type of surgery, what type of hysterectomy I had performed on me, I finally got the results like right in front of me, the full medical records and stuff like that. So I have it right here. But it took a while for me to even get that because when I talked with the doctor had it thumbing through, and I said, is it possible that I get a copy of that? Do I have to fill out a medical record? She said, yeah, you have to fill out a medical records release form. So I was like, okay. So she said, go up to the front and they'll help you. I go up to the front, and the lady, she calls the medical records people, and they tell her one thing, and she's asking me a whole bunch of questions, and then she's telling me some stuff. And then she goes on to say that I will have to call the doctor from 15 years ago and ask them to send me my medical records that they just sent my doctor at the women's clinic a copy of. And I said, the doctor just told me and even told her assistant that I could get a copy of that. She had it in her hand while we were in the room, and she was thumbing through the paperwork. Medical release, all that needed to be done. And I was like, it didn't make any sense. The lady has my medical records in her hand. Why would I call doctor's office for them to send me the same report directly to me that they sent to y'all? So anyway, she said, well, ma'am, go ahead and have a seat. I'll have somebody come up and, talk to you from medical records. So I'm like, okay, fine. Surely I know this lady is not going to give me some, baloney. So I sat down, and maybe 2 minutes later, lady came up. She was like, Miss Williams? I said, yes. She said, hi, do you have a copy of your identification card? And I said, yeah. So I gave her my driver's license. And so she said, here, go ahead and sign this medical release form. I ain't say nothing. I'm just signing medical release form. So she said I sign it, and then she goes and make a copy of my driver's license, and she comes back, she tells me initial somewhere else, and I do that, and she said, okay, just have a seat and I'll make a copy of your medical records. I sat down. Maybe a minute later, she said, Miss Williams, here's a copy of your medical records. Be careful because it's so thick that basically the staples didn't staple all the way to close it on the last few pages. So I'm like, because I'm trying not to be Miss Petty, Prophetess Petty, I wanted to go over to that other lady and be like, nah. They know what they're talking about. And another thing, I need to get some gas because this is the foolishness that I'll be doing. I'll be riding, and don't even have no doggone gas. And this thing gonna beep at me in a minute. But anyways, another thing, I went to another doctor's appointment, and I know that I have a bill that I need to pay. And they also know that I was unemployed, and I'm still unemployed, but I do little stuff on the side. So they tell me that they looked through the screen, and I said, I want to make sure, you know, that I do right by you guys. She was like, oh, it shows 0 here, so they must have removed it. Let me hurry up and sit my tail down. Y'all ready for me back there? Before y'all change your mind and realize, you know, they removed the bill. You heard me? They removed the bill. So I'm so grateful to God, because God is so faithful. And I am still unemployed. Yes, still unemployed. And yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So anyways, I was like, yeah, God, I sure enough thank you, because you taking care of your little baby girl right here. I declare you taking care of me. Anyways, I had stopped for a moment because I always try to give to women's shelter and, you know, things of that nature. Mainly, I mean, people, they always talk about Goodwill and, you know, things like that, and thrift stores. But a lot of times thrift stores do a lot of their donation, not necessarily donation, but we think is donating. They end up selling it, and they don't really cater to the public as far as, you know, homeless needs. Although sometimes, you know, I've been told that the Goodwill do help with job placement and, you know, things of that nature for those that are disabled and, you know, yada, yada, yada. But as far as like a real outreach to the community is basically outreach as far as, how can I say this? It's basically outreach as far as, you know, for profit. And so always, whenever I'm in town, it's this place that I'm real, you know, familiar with, and it's a women's shelter. And I really and truly, honestly, try to donate to places like that, because I know what it's like. I remember what it's like as a child going into a women's shelter with my mom and my brothers, and it was just so, you know, heart-wrenching, because at that time we didn't have any clothes, just basically what we left the house with. And so I remember they have it to where, you know, they were giving out free stuff that was donated. And I remember underwear that I got at a women's shelter in Fresno. Like, it's crazy, the little things that I remember. Underwear. I got a pair of underwear that they were giving out for free because I didn't have any. You know, I left with basically the clothes that was on my back and maybe some other stuff that, you know, I can grab with my hands. But I got underwear. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, they were like a blue and red kind of bikini underwear. They were for grown people, but I was happy to have gotten those underwears because, yeah, that's crazy. And we were in this room, and I want to say it was a bunk bed, but all of us was there, and we couldn't tell nobody where we were at. And I remember I went there on my birthday, and the person that helped our family get there, he gave me a doll or something on my birthday. Isn't that something? That is truly something. I look back over those times in my life. God was definitely doing something. He kept us protected. And he gave me a testimony, even though I didn't realize it was a testimony at that time. But he gave me a testimony as to being an overcomer. And he's placed some things in my heart that I know without a shadow of a doubt that I wouldn't be the woman that I am today if it wasn't for those experiences. And I can honestly say that I'm so grateful unto God that I never had to go through that in my adult life, or had to go through anything like that to where it affected my kids. It didn't affect my kids at all. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that. And it's amazing because of what our mind can remember. And especially sometimes I have a hard time remembering things. And I think too, a lot of it was probably suppressed because certain things were just so traumatic. But it's almost like I can remember like bits and pieces, and then when I start trying to figure out the rest of the puzzle, that's when the rest of it kind of come into play. Or like someone that's close to me, they'll just remind me, and I'll be, oh yeah, that did happen, oh my gosh, you know, or I'll share something with them, and you know, it just comes back, like they remind me. And so I'm like, my God. So anyways, I said all that to say that I went to the women's shelter, and I always try to donate because you just never know what the need is, and it could be something so small and minute Whereas, you know, I asked them what they are accepting donations for, and they said they're working on Project Homeless right now. So of course next year I'll be able to do, you know, some beanies or something that I can crochet for the homeless, because they try to give out as often as they can. They have it organized in their little room there, and they was like household appliances, clothes, things of that nature. And so I had a stereo that I donated with speakers, and then I had clothes for myself and my kids, and then on top of that I had household items, water hose, storage containers, coffee cups, things of that nature. I donated to them. And so every little bit counts, and you would think none of that matters, even if it's forks, spoons, knives, serving utensils, plates, things of that nature. They need it because they house women and children like all the time, and they have to have enough, you know, items to, you know, cater to those people that come in and out of their facility. And so I'm just grateful to God that I'm able to contribute. I did at one point in time, I want to say I donated soaps to them, but I'm not for sure. I know I mentioned it to one of the ladies that I used to talk with that was a part of that program, that's no longer in that program, but I want to say that I did personal hygiene type items. So yeah, it's just, I'm just grateful to God that I was able to donate to them on today. Be blessed, y'all.